Hello everyone. So today we are going to look at two important topics, that is Egypt and Jordan. Now these two countries are very important to understand the Middle East politics. Okay. Now first of all, let us understand what the term Middle East means. Generally, if you see, this is the east part, this is the west. And how it has been categorized? Because there is a line that goes international date line. Now according to it, the eastern hemisphere, that this is the eastern hemisphere, this is the eastern part and this is the western part. Since in 1600, 1700, 1800 it was the dominance of British, therefore they decided this line, and henceforth they started calling them to be the east because they were east to the Britain, and they started calling them west because they were west to the Britain. Okay. Now when you look from the perspective of Britain, this is far east, this region is far east. India was the most important country for them, therefore they considered India to be the east, this region to be the far east, this region to be the middle east, and this the later east. Okay. Therefore this region, the West Asia, जिसे हम West Asia बोलते हैं, they started calling them to be the Middle East. ठीक है, Middle East, Far East, East and the Middle East. ठीक है, I hope this much is clear. Now before starting with the topic of Egypt and Jordan, first of all let us understand the geopolitical, the geographical location of the Middle East. ठीक है, Middle East is a very important point, or a very important region which connects India, or which connects the three different continents, that is the Europe, Asia and Africa. Okay. You see, this is the Middle East, the part that I have drawn in the red. This is Europe, this is Africa and this is Asia. So it is at the tri-junction of these three continents. Therefore it happens to be the most important part. Not now only, but in the ancient time also this was the most important. Why? Because the Silk route, the trade route that was happening in the historical times was passing through this particular Middle East only. So this particular part has a great significance. The geography of this particular region is very important. If we see through the lenses of resources, then this Middle East is not very rich in vegetables, it is not very rich in forest, it is more or less hilly region or the desert region. But this region is again very important for the resources and especially for the oil minerals. Clear hai? ठीक है. So two important things, that it is connecting three continents. ठीक है. Second, oil resources. Two important things over here. ठीक है. So let us understand the world map. This is North America, this is South America, this happens to be the Africa, this is Europe, this is Asia. Okay. Now if you look at this Middle East region, after India we are having Pakistan, above that we are having Afghanistan, and from here it starts. First country is Iran. Okay. Besides Iran it is Iraq. Then above Iraq it is Syria, above Syria it is Turkey, again very important country, and the location, the capital of Turkey, that is the Istanbul, earlier known as Constantinople, was very important because that particular was the choke point, or that was the main important port destination, or you can say it was a kind of the place where every merchant has to give tax for trading with the India. And as you know, India, or the trade with India and China, was very important in the historical times, that is in the ancient as well as in the medieval times. Okay. So Constantinople, here it would be Constantinople, and it is very important. Even the Crusades war were fought for this particular point. Okay. Clear hai? So Turkey, below that Syria, then Lebanon, then Israel. Beside Israel, on the west, on the east side it is Jordan, and below this side it is Egypt. Here it is Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, UAE. Okay. So these are few most important countries of West Asia. So today in this lecture we are going to do two important countries of the Middle East, that is Egypt and the Jordan. Okay? So this particular this whole lecture is to build a base for you to understand the Palestine or the Israel conflict as well as the politics of the Middle East. ठीक है, because जो आपका syllabus है, your GS2 syllabus says the effect of the policies of the developing nations. ठीक है, so this is how you have to interrelate everything. ठीक है, let us understand. First, let us see the Egypt. So the capital of Egypt is Cairo, and as we know, Egypt was having their rich Egyptian civilization, which was running parallel to our Indus Valley civilization. Both Egyptian civilization and Indus Valley civilizations happen to be the Bronze Age civilizations. And it was very rich, very flourishing civilization. After that, this particular region of Egypt, it went into the hands of Romans under the Roman Empire. Later on, it went into the hands of Arabs. When Constantinople was captured, then it went into the hands of Ottoman Turk Empire. Then with the First World War, after the First World War, Egypt, it started getting separated from the Arab politics. Now, before that, two important things happened. One was in 1869, Suez Canal was constructed by France. Now, Suez Canal is very important because Suez Canal saves lot of travel distance for the European powers to connect themselves with the Far East or the Eastern countries. Let us look at the map. So, this is your Suez Canal. This particular region is your Suez Canal. This particular region is your Suez Canal. Earlier the countries of Europe were going like this all through the way to reach East and the Far East. But after the coming of Suez Canal, they were able to save their time and resources, and they were going like this. Therefore, Suez Canal happens to be a very, very important position, and therefore Europeans were trying to dominate Suez Canal from the starting. Therefore, Suez Canal was constructed by France in 1869. But since France was facing financial problems, because in 1870 France was defeated by the Germans, and a humiliating treaty was imposed by which part of France, that is the Alsace-Lorraine region, was taken away from France, and that was very rich. Minerally, it was very rich. So France started facing financial problems, and even after having that particular incident with the Germany, France was sidelined from the Europe, from the mainland Europe, and France started facing isolation in Europe politics. Therefore, France asked financial help from Britain. Britain came because Britain was also requiring passage of Suez Canal, because Britain have to do a lot of trade with the India. Therefore, Britain started putting their financial resources in the Egypt, in the Suez Canal. And later on, British converted Egypt as a British protectorate in 1882. Since 1882 till the independence of Egypt, it would remain within the British Empire only. Clear this much? Now, nationalist uprising started in the after the First World War. After First World War, nationalist uprising started in the Egypt, and because of that, an Anglo-Egyptian treaty was signed in the year 1936. It created a formal kind of independence for Egypt, but still some or the major parts of the Egypt policies were being taken control by the British only. Now, three important things we have to keep in mind with respect to this treaty is: number one, it gave formal independence. It gave a formal independence. Number two, British advisories to influence policies. And number three, British forces will protect Suez Canal for 20 years. Therefore, in 1936 it was signed, and the 20 years period would lapse in 1956. Now, it is very important to remember this date. Next, after the independence, what happened that Egypt, when the Israel conflict started, then Egypt also participated in the Israel-Palestine conflict. Okay, and under that, they also participated in the first Arab-Israel war that happened in the year 1948. In the year 1948, but unfortunately, they could not succeed much, and also there was a revolution that held in Egypt. There was a revolution that was held in Egypt against the king. Okay? And this revolution was under the leadership of Gamal Abdel Nasser, who, after the success of this revolution, he became the president of Egypt. Okay? Next, let us look at the era of Gamal Nasser. So the era of Gamal Nasser started from 1954 to 1970. As since he have outcasted the king who was loyal to the West, who was loyal to the Britain, therefore USA and Western countries, they stopped funding to the Egypt. They stopped funding to the Egypt government. Second, because of that funding that was stopped, Nasser was forced, or Nasser also wanted to nationalize Suez Canal, because Suez Canal will give him a lot of financial support to build his country. Therefore, he nationalized Suez Canal. He threw the British forces out of the Suez Canal, and once he nationalized it, then he even stopped Israeli ships to use the Suez Canal. Okay, I hope this you have understood that he stopped the Israeli ships to use Suez Canal, which resulted in the Suez War of 1956. Suez War of 1956. Now, on one side it was Egypt, on the other side there were three countries: Israel, Britain and France. Now, Britain was coming with Israel because Israel, the region of Israel or the Palestine, was under the mandate of British after the First World War under the Treaty of Sevres. Therefore, and also Britain and USA, they have promised Israelis to help them in building their own country. Therefore, when this problem erupted, Israel was being helped by both Britain as well as France. But in this war, none of the side lost or win. But the most important thing that happened was that Britain and France dominance in the world politics degraded. Okay? Now no one was ready to listen them, and parallelly what happened that the USA, or the dominance of USA in the world politics, it started rising, and this is the most important incident which helped in the USA to emerge as world leader, Clear this much? Now, after this, Nasser, he participated in the second Arab-Israel war that was held in 1967. It is also known as 6 Days War. 6 days ka war tha. There were 4 countries who were directly involved in the attack on Israel: Egypt, Jordan, Syria and Iraq. And the other Arab countries were supporting indirectly through financial aid, through military or through arms, ammunition. But Israel was such a country who defeated all these countries in just a matter of 6 days. 6 days, Israel defeated all of them, and they all have to lose even their territories. And on that line, Egypt, they lost Gaza Strip and Sinai Peninsula. Gaza Strip and Sinai Peninsula was lost by the Egypt in favor of Israel. Clear है? इतना समझ में आया? ठीक है? Now let us move forward. Next is that again there was a third Arab-Israel war. It happened in the year 1973, and it was on the Yom Kippur day. It is the holiest day of Jews, and if you see in 2023, the attack was again on this particular day, and 50 years lapsed between these two things. Okay? 2023 and 1973. Okay? In this war again, Israel defeated Egypt, and Egypt lost the war. So after this, what happened that Nasser died and another prime minister took over, who was being influenced by the USA, or USA was able to put pressure, and therefore he came forward to sign the Camp David Accord. he came forward to sign the Camp David Accord. So this accord, it is very, very important. It was signed in the year 1979 between Israel and Egypt. And who brokered it? Who helped this to mediate? It was USA. With the help of USA, Israel and Egypt able to sign this particular peace treaty. Okay. So what were the important terms? Number one is Egypt recognized Israel as a state. Okay. They recognized Israel as a state. Next, Egypt allowed Israeli ships to use Suez Canal, plus even they started providing oil supplies. Okay. Next, their relation, Egypt relation with the West improved. So at the end, always remember that international relations, money matters a lot. Egypt was not having money. USA and Western nations were having a lot of money, and they were able to provide that only after Egypt signed this particular accord. And once it was signed, Western nations and USA, they started helping Egypt once again. Okay? So the relations improved. But unfortunately, what happened that Egypt was expelled from the Arab League because none other than Egypt, none of the Arab countries have signed any kind of peace treaty with Israel. Even they did not recognize Israel as a state. They were recognizing only Palestine as a state. Okay, next, Nobel Peace Prize was being given to the Egypt president and the Israeli Prime Minister for signing this particular accord. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, this is very important to build our foundation with respect to the Israel politics and the Middle East Asia politics. Okay. Now, another important thing is what are this? Who all are the Islamic states who have recognized Israel? The first such Islamic state was Turkey, who in the year 1949 have recognized Israel, Islamic state. But Egypt was the second Islamic state and first Arab state who have recognized Israel in the year 1979. So the third country or the second Arab country was Jordan in the year 1994. Jordan we are going to look within few minutes. Then now recently Abraham Accord has been signed between Israel, UAE and Bahrain in the year 2022-23. Okay? So these are the some Islamic countries who have recognized Israel. Okay? Clear hai this much? I hope this is clear. Now let us go to Jordan. Okay? Now Jordan is a country who, which is having constitutional monarchy. They are having constitutional monarchy, means there is a constitution, but the head of the country is going to be a king. They are having independent judiciary, but a lot of matters are being taken care by the king and his council. Okay? Sorry. Second important thing is that under Treaty of Sevres, this treaty was signed after World War I was ended. Okay? So under Treaty of Sevres, this particular region of Jordan was given was under the British mandate, means British was taking care of this particular region. So there was no formal independence, rather there was a kind of colony. Okay? Not proper colony also, not proper independence also, somewhat in between. Okay? So it was under the British government. In 1946 they gained their independence. Now they, since being the Arab state, so they also participated in the first and second Arab-Israel war. In the first Arab-Israel war, they were able to occupy two important areas, that is the West Bank and the East Jerusalem. But there is a very important development that Jordan occupied these two territories not for helping Palestine. Jordan was not helping Palestine, rather Jordan was having imperialistic ambition. Jordan wanted to create a caliphate. Caliphate was like a Turkish empire, the Ottoman Turk Empire. So Jordan wanted to create somewhat similar empire, and with that intention, Jordan participated in the first Arab-Israel war of 1948, and Jordan was able to occupy the region of West Bank and the East Jerusalem. Okay. But later on, in the second Arab-Israel war that happened in 1967, Jordan lost both these territories. Jordan lost West Bank and East Jerusalem as well. Okay. Later on, in the third Arab-Israel War of 1973, Jordan have not participated. Parallelly to that, an important organization of Palestinians known as PLO, it emerged, and PLO was also against Jordan. Why? Because Jordan was arguing that the West Bank and East Jerusalem should go with the Jordan and for its imperialistic ambitions. Clear? This much. Next, in the year 1994, Israel-Jordanian peace treaty was signed. Israel-Jordanian peace treaty was signed. Now, this is very important treaty because by the time of 1990s, Jordan understood that none of the countries could defeat Israel, and it's better to have a peaceful relation with Israel rather than to have a fighting attitude with them. Because everyone, Jordan is one such country who is landlocked in the West Asia. It is landlocked. It cannot go on one side. It has to deal with Israel, Lebanon. Above it is Syria. On the east, they are having Iraq. Therefore, it is a landlocked country, and every landlocked country wants to have a peaceful relation with all the neighbors. With all the neighbors. Otherwise, it will create problem for them. Therefore, in the year 1994, Jordan signed this particular treaty, Israel-Jordanian peace treaty, and with this, Jordanian got two concessions from West. Number one, they started getting foreign aid, and number two, they got free trade zone in USA. So Jordan was able to sell a free trade zone, means an area where they can sell their products without any export or import duties. So Jordan got these two concessions, and Jordan was happy because now they have the funds to develop their country, and therefore they stopped fighting with the Israel. So this was very important development that happened with respect to the Israel-Jordan relationship. Now, after this particular incident, another one major incident happened in Jordan territory, that Israeli agents used Canadian passport to enter into the Jordan territory, and there they poisoned one person called Khalid Meshal. This incident happened in the year 1997, and since it happened on the soil of the Jordan, therefore Jordan government was very much against the Israelis. They pressurized Israeli government so much that that they said that they will revoke the 1994 treaty if the Israelis will not redo their doings. Therefore, Israel first of all gave the antidote to the poison, and henceforth Meshal life was saved. Also, in a good gesture, Israel released some of the prisoners of Palestine, and one of such prisoner was Sheikh Ahmad Yassin. Sheikh Ahmad Yassin. He was again a very important personality of Palestine. Later on, he was killed in an air strike. I think in somewhere in 2004 or something. Later on, he was killed. But this Meshal, presently he's very important personality because he's a kind of fundraiser for the Palestinian cause. So he's a kind of problem for the Israel. I hope you have understood these two countries, Egypt and Jordan. Both these countries are having now a good relation, or you can say a peaceful relation to a certain amount with the Israel. Clear? I hope this is clear. Thank you very much.